Good morning, everybody. Transparent multimodal rail supply chain powered by GS1 and EPCIS 2.0. That is the topic of our ERCI webinar today. And first, I give you a short introduction on ERCI. It's the European Railway Clusters Initiative, existing since 2010 and is a legal entity since 2022. ERCI is managed by 18 nationally or regionally focused railway, mobility and logistics clusters covering 17 European countries and represents over 3,600 enterprises, the majority of them small and medium-sized enterprises. Yeah, it's all about bringing customers, suppliers, and supply chain opportunities together. That is the summarizing of the services of ERCI, mainly supporting small, medium-sized enterprises. We make partner matchmaking in research and development. We discover new market opportunities. We are trying to enhance the visibility on a national level. We are discussing innovative topics due to our ERCI task forces, especially, and that is today the topic within the task force multimodal and logistics, the topic of intermodality. And we are providing some networking opportunities due to webinars like today, workshops, networking events, fairs, and business trips. Our yearly highlight are the ERCI Innovation Awards, and we will have these awarding ceremony this year on the 30th September in Milan at the Expo Ferroviaria. So some word about the activities of the Multimodal Logistics Task Force. It's dealing also on the topic of military mobility, and the first meeting took place end of February in the La Spezia port. So our contact data you will find in the chat. And first I will take the opportunity to hand over to my colleague Amelie Esperoux from the ERCI member cluster ETWALS. Amelie.
Good morning, everybody. I am Amelie Esperoux from iTrans, and I'm in charge of all the topics dealing with Europe. Today, I'm going to introduce you the Association of Railway and Industries. We are extremely happy to have them on board. I'm sorry, can you see in full screen? I don't think it works.
Yeah, full screen is on the bottom. Yes, works.
Okay, perfect. Sorry. So, the Association of Railway Industries was created in 1995. So you can guess that this year they have 30 years. The AIF is the first French railway cluster. It's the oldest one. And you have all the actors of the railway industries which are represented. The Association of Railway Industries is located in northern France, which is the first railway region in Europe. We have 16,000 jobs, more than 1 billion turnover, and the association gathers all the companies working for the railway industry, and they have 200 equipment manufacturers and subcontractors. You have here the details of the association, and I'm happy to introduce you Jérôme Martinez. He's the operations director at the Association of Railway Industries. He has a background in finance. He has been involved in industrial performance and restructuring. And with the extensive experience, he discovered the railway sector, which he has supported ever since. So, Jérôme, I give you the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Amelie. Thank you, everybody. And warm welcome to all of us. Let me introduce you. We had a discussion 1 year ago with Claude Baudry from GS1 about the creation of GS1 Interest Club. So we decided to create a club regarding the necessity of the performance of the supply chain management and regarding the company involved in GS1 project. On our territory in the northern, we have, of course, a big company, a major company, which is Alstom. And we will share the presentation first with Claude Baudry, of course, from GS1. He supports the project of the GS1 Interest Club. And also, we will share the presentation with Evan Villette, a young man involved in the project RFID project in Alstom. And he was very engaged in this job. So we congratulate everybody for their participation. And first of all, let's say welcome to Claude Baudry. Claude, it's your turn, please.
Thank you, Jérôme. So good morning, everybody. So Claude Baudry from GS1 France. I will share my screen. Second, up. Is it okay for everybody?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so the purpose of this first meeting is to introduce. Why it's not working? Up. Yes. Sorry. So the purpose of this meeting is just to introduce GS1. So two parts: GS1 organization, who is GS1 and what we are doing, because perhaps some of you are not knowing it at all. And second, how GS1 standards are implemented in the rail industry. So first of all, if we're asking people, generally speaking, do you know GS1? Most of the people are saying no. In fact, you are viewing or practicing GS1 every day. GS1 is a creator of the barcode that is used since the 70s in the consumer business. Okay, so it is a barcode, as you can see on the picture. It was initiated in the early 70s in order to facilitate and ease all the operation at the caching activity for the companies. And thanks to this barcode, in fact, the different suppliers in the supply chain, the different actors in supply chain could share information because we have a unique code identifying the product. Okay. And so it was a nice lever to increase the productivity in the whole supply chain. Some features nevertheless. So today, every day, we have 10 billion of barcodes that are scanned every day, meaning that we have more barcodes scanned using the GS1 standard than we have Amazon access or connection every day. So just to give you a feature. Second, we have today more than 1 billion products using GS1 barcode in different, I will say, sectors, different ecosystem, and we have above around 2 million companies worldwide using the GS1 standard. So GS1 standard and GS1 ecosystem is based on three main pillars. First, identify, and we can identify different things. So mainly speaking, identifying product, but not only. We can identify location, logistic unit, assets, okay? Some way to capture, I will say, the information thanks to data carriers, okay? And the third pillar is the sharing of data with also different, I will say, standard. And just to visualize more, here we have the three pillars: the blue one, which is identification, okay, the red, the pink one, or the red one, the capturing part, and the green one, which is the sharing part. Okay, so once again, I take the example, quickly speaking. You have a food producer, let's say a water bottle producer. He puts the barcode on the water bottle, and all the actors between the original manufacturing plant up to the big supermarket or the small grocery, also including all the logistic companies, intermediate deposit or storage, okay, they are all using the same code, okay? They could add additional codes, okay, if they want to exchange other information. Data carriers to support the data encoded, different type, initially speaking with the barcode. The technology is evolving, so we have also introduced other standards such as the QR code, the GS1 data matrix, the RFID tag, okay. And regarding the data sharing, as mentioned there, we can share different type of data, okay. It could be product master data, so let's say technical attributes of the product. It could be transactional data, mainly related, for example, to the finance and shipping information. And we have event data, so what we are calling the transactional data. So when something is occurring during the life of the product, we can share information. Okay. So GS1 organization is an international company. We are about 2,500 people all over the world. Okay, 118 national organizations. So I'm part of GS1 France. Okay, but we have also GS1 Germany, GS1 Switzerland, GS1 Australia, GS1 US. Okay, it's a neutral and not-for-profit organization, meaning that all the benefit GS1 organization could generate are reinvested inside the company. We are acting globally and locally. So it's a global organization. The standards are international, okay, but we are acting locally. Each, I will say, GS1 organization is supporting the sector locally in their countries. We are inclusive and collaborative, so that is a key motto, a key driver for us, meaning that when an ecosystem, when a sector is adopting GS1 standard, we are working with all the typology of the key players. Okay, so coming back to the railway, for example, we are working with, of course, the supply chain industry, but also with railway operators, the infrastructure managers, in order to embark them globally to work with them in how to implement the standard in a consensus way. Okay, and of course we are user driven. Okay, because when the stakeholders are putting on the table their issues, their difficulty, their needs, okay, we are collectively helping them to find solution. The GS1 standard, in fact, is based on the ISO IEC standard, which is the 15459, which is explaining what are the functional requirements of a unique product identification. So the standard is explaining the what is needed. And the standard, the norm, okay? And after GS1 as an organism is providing a solution, a what, how to implement this unique product identification. At the ISO level, we have 50 issuing agencies being able to be compliant with the standard. The advantage of GS1 are the following. First, the way to identify the product is only numerical digit. So meaning after when you need to encode that, okay, of course it's taking much place. So meaning that after the data carrier, your barcode or your data matrix or your QR code is smaller. So that is an advantage. And second, we have the only one which is really cross-sectorial. You have some sector where, for example, some issuing agency working only on a dedicated market. For example, aerospace or automobile. Okay, us, we are cross-sector, so it giving us also another advantage. So, and now we have an idea of the 20, more than the 20 different sectors we are addressing. So it's coming from agriculture, construction business, the rail activity, the cash activity with the bank, the food, the consumer good, sport, textile. You can see that we are really cross-sectorial. So now I will just focus on the GS1 in rail. So for in rail, based on the different technical standard, we have defined what we are calling now a standard of usage. Okay, so to identify the product, for example, we have two different types of identifiers, which has been agreed and defined by the railway community, which is called in our, I will say, GS1 vocabulary, GTIN for Global Trade Item Number, and GIAI for Global Individual Asset Identifier. Okay. Regarding the data carrier, what are the support to carry the data, okay, we have the GS1 data matrix and we have the RFID tag, okay. And regarding the data sharing, we have two ways to share the data. First, probably the most important one tomorrow, which will be the EPCIS for electronic product code information services, okay. That should cover 80% of the data sharing, and we have the so-called GDSN, sorry for the acronym, which is more to share product data catalog. Okay, so to make it simple, GS1 is more for fixed data, and EPCIS standard is more for transactional data, evolutive data during the lifetime of the product. Speaking. So where are we implementing the GS1 standard? So on the three big area where we are watching on the screen. First, of course, the train and wagon. Okay, so it means that each vehicle, each wagon will be equipped or are equipped, and will be because we are in the transitional period and it's taking time to tag all the asset. Okay, so each vehicle will be equipped with a tag. Okay, of course with the main target for the fleet operators to improve and to ensure the punctuality of the train for passenger or for freight. We are also implementing the GS1 standard for the so-called MRO part. MRO part is part eligible to maintenance, repair, and overhaul. Okay, and of course the main target, okay, is to ensure the availability of the component, of the good, of the equipment at the train level, and with that, after effectively the fleet operator can ensure the punctuality of the train. And we are not forgetting the infrastructure. Okay, where we're also tagging, I will say, track machine, point machine, and other equipment, catenaries, okay, and the purpose. And we know that for the infrastructure, we cannot extend the infrastructure. So the main target is to increase the capacity of the infrastructure. Okay, thanks to that. So just to give you two pictures, okay, before the part identification was something as a puzzle, a little bit messy, different way to identify, graved, not graved, unprinted, different support. And now thanks to that, we move to something which is more, I would say, harmonized. So, okay, the plate could be different, size, okay, but at least the way to identify the product is similar. You see that for the different example, we have a data matrix, we have some information in readable information, but always standardized in the same way, okay, and we can even grave directly on the part, okay. So it means that now, we have some structured data and standard barcode or standard data carriers that will ease the data capture and that will facilitate the data sharing after between the actors. The complexity, when we are speaking with data sharing, the complexity starts with a number of factors. Here is just a small picture to show you that from for example, the initial raw material manufacturer up to the company in charge of recycling the good at the end of life of the product, the more actors you have in the loop, the more different system you have by the different actors. When you want to communicate, to create messaging tubes to communicate information between different actors, it starts to be messy, and you have to generate different tubes according different syntax, according the number of factors, and also according the system of information. Okay, thanks to GS1 standard, as everybody is using the same way to identify the product, as everybody could implement the same standard to exchange information, so the so-called EPCIS I spoke before, for example. In fact, in terms of communication, it's much more easier because we take the data, okay, we put them in the tube, okay, according to the EPCIS syntax, and we send it, okay, or we share it. And as everybody is using and understanding the same syntax, it makes the things easier, okay. Alors, I will take an example. For example, quickly speaking, I'm taking example of a wheel set bearing produced by Schaeffler. So I go quickly, by the way. Okay, so this bearing is produced by Schaeffler. It is assembled in Stadler on the wheel set. After the wheel set is put on, it is put on the bogie. The bogie is attached to a wagon. The wagon is part of the train. The train is welcome and reception commission with the railway operator, SBB in that case. Okay, and after during the lifetime, we could have some repair, some revision or whatever. Okay, the wagon concerned by the issue is removed from the train. We remove the bogie, remove the wheel set, we disassemble, and the bearing is back for Schaeffler to be revised, controlled for a new usage, or it could be scrapped. Okay, and in fact, for all these steps, okay, because we have a unique part identifier, we can share and track all the steps occurring on the life, okay, of this bearing. Here I just figure out some, I will say some steps, okay, and for all these steps, information could be shared between the stakeholders, okay. And I will take one example. For example, axis acoustic measurement, meaning that on the railway track, I have put some sensors, okay, and we have detected that thanks to this acoustic measurement that we have a flat, for example, on the wheel, okay, or we have an issue, okay, and we can generate a message, and after we can take appropriate action. So, just to give you an example of how could be formatted, sorry, it's after informatic, but it's the structure, the typical structure of EPCIS message, okay, where that could be exchanged between actors. Meaning that inside here we have some information, okay, which are structured in a specific way, okay, and thanks to this EPCIS, I will say syntax, we can keep the information somewhere. We can inject them in the message, okay. And after, when it is received by the data receiver, it can extract the information and do some analysis, take some decision, and so on and so forth. Okay. Also, just I wanted to share also some feedback, okay, about the interest for companies to implement GS1. Okay, so here I have some feedback from Alstom with some first preliminary, I will say, return of experience and ROI, return on investment. Alors, some are easily measurable, okay, others are more qualitative, okay, but nevertheless we see that we have some features which are quite tremendous, okay, 400 kilo euro on one side, 3 million euro. Once again, when a company would like to measure the return of investment by implementing GS1, they have to do it case by case or business case by business case. To have the global picture, it's difficult, but it should be done according to the specific usage case, okay. And I have something similar as well from Alstom. So Alstom implemented GS1 on the last TGV order, which is called TGVM. Okay. And the key point is the one which is on the nice point. The nice point is the one on the red side, on the left side. Sorry, the right side. Sorry. In fact, thanks to the automatic capture of information, because the data are more available, are digitally available, are more reliable. Okay. In fact, people are not taking time to check, to correct error, okay, and so on. And so this time saved, this non-value added time saved, in fact, they can reallocate tasks which are more value added to the people. Okay. And that is a key point. Okay. And they improve a lot. We have, just to give you also a panorama of implementation of GS1 in rail, we have some key stakeholders statement, meaning that they have fully decided to implement and to push the implementation and the deployment of GS1. So here is just a snapshot. We have in the middle, for example, the CEO of Siemens Mobility, to say yes, now we will embark on the GS1 journey. Okay, we have on the left side a letter of engagement signed by in France by the key players in France. So you can see RATP, SNCF, Alstom, Hitachi, Knorr-Bremse, and Wabtec Fevlet. And once again on the right side, back again to the French sector, the French railway stakeholders. There is a so-called railway sector strategic contract under the leadership of the French government, okay, in which for the next 4 years, 24-27, okay, GS1 standard is part of the roadmap, okay, meaning that now all the railway industry, at least in France, should be embarked on the GS1 journey. Other also snapshot is to give you, in fact, an extract of all the actors starting to implement GS1. So of course you can recognize the railway operators, Deutsche Bahn, SNCF, OBB, for example, and others. And you can recognize big, I will say, rail industry actors, Alstom, Stadler, Hitachi, CAF, okay, but also other tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 suppliers, SKF, Saft, Mersenne, Nexan, Thales, Bonatrans, and so on and so forth. So it means a lot of factors start to implement GS1. And also to give you the full picture, if regarding the geographical, I will say, implementation or deployment of GS1, we have a tier 1, which is actively engaged and driving, in fact, the GS1 implementation in rail activity, mainly speaking Europe, okay, Austria, France, Germany, Netherlands, Poland, Spain, Switzerland, and Belgium, okay, but we have also Australia and India, okay. These two continents moved and switched to GS1. We have a second level, a second circle, okay, of companies which are of countries, sorry, which are looking after making some trial, but not yet fully engaged, okay. So mainly the UK, okay, and after all the Eastern Europe countries, not forgetting also the Baltic countries and Saudi Arabia, okay, and part of the south of Europe, Portugal and Italy. And we have a tier 3 today, which is more Asian countries, okay, and America. They start to look at, okay. They have not started some trials, okay, but they start to look at. The strong message is GS1 will be the standard that will be implemented in the railway business tomorrow. That is a trend, okay? Alors, after the maturity of countries, the maturity of actors is different, will be different for different reasons, but GS1 will be the standard to be implemented in the rail sector tomorrow. That there is no doubt on the subject. Knowing that, first, from a fleet operators or infrastructure manager, all the métiers, all the business requirements are the same in terms of requirement, in terms of traceability, in terms of data transparency. All these requirements will be the same, whatever I am German, French, American, or Australian. Okay. Second, the rail industry is international one. All the key players, Alstom, CAF, Stadler, Siemens, they are provided goods to all the fleet manager in the world. Okay, so there is no need that there is a convergent effect that GS1 standard will be the standard in the railway tomorrow. So why implementing, by the way? First, we have some EU regulation. So here I'm just focusing on the railway EU regulation, okay? But we have also European regulation that will also push the actors to implement GS1. Of course, we have a very complex supply chain in the railway business. We need to track our goods, okay, during the full lifetime of this good, the so-called MRO part, okay, and to ensure traceability, okay. And just to conclude quickly speaking, what are the benefits for the rail application in the rail application of GS1? Of course, we can monitor and control the supply chain in real time at any time between the different stakeholders, acceleration of logistic production processes, improve, I will say, operational processes, okay, optimize maintenance and inventory, because we know better the life of the product and what is occurring, we can take quicker decision, okay. Improve diagnosis, fault and warranty management, once again, thanks to the transparency and the data sharing, implement start maintenance strategy, and so at the end, saving money, okay, and increase, I will say, capacity to have a more available digital information, and many more, okay. And my lifestyle will be the following, okay. GS1 is an enabler for the digital transformation of the rail. Why and how? First, data transparency. With the GS1 standard, we could have a full data transparency on the entire value chain. And it's important because you will have now more and more European regulation asking for data transparency. And data transparency, you are a producer, okay? It means that you should know what happened on the raw material or on the intermediate good you are buying, okay? And if you are not able to gather information from your tier 1 supplier or tier 2 suppliers, okay, thanks to this unique product code codification, you are dead. Because tomorrow, the European regulation will ask you data transparency and to argument to justify what you are saying, okay? Operational efficiency, of course, because we have this way to capture information in a reliable, in a digital way. We can have data exchange between stakeholders, machine to machine, because that is a key point. Okay, you can do it machine to machine directly without human intervention, and of course, at the end of the day, you are saving time, you are saving money. Product and event traceability, we can track what is a track and trace all the event during the lifetime of the product, knowing that we have in the rail activity product living for about 40 to 60 years, by the way, okay. Of course, we are working on the sustainable, or it is imparting the sustainable development. Of course, we are reducing waste by less document. We can more exchange, digitally speaking, information, certificate, report between the actors. So we are producing less paper. So from that case, we are reducing the waste, but also, as I mentioned before, we can optimize the maintenance because we know better what is occurring. We can have a smarter program maintenance. We can really do predictive maintenance. And last but not least, it will ensure the actors to be compliant with the different contractual and regulatory requirements. Okay, so I have in mind what should happen and what should be also a requirement from the European Commission to the railway sector, the digital product passport, okay. Second, other regulation I mentioned, the packaging, the PPWR is data transparency about packaging and recyclable packaging, and we are using packaging during the transaction between the different actors in the railway, the rail supply chain. The CSRD, so the Corporate Social Responsibility Directive, okay, data transparency again, okay, and the EUDR, so the regulation for the deforestation. You could see, yes, but what is the link with the rail? But nevertheless, in the rail, you are using some product with rubber, okay, and rubber is one product or one material eligible to the EUDR regulation, okay, and we need to ensure data transparency regarding this. So meaning that the data transparency is something very important and will become important in the future. And once again, thanks to the GS1 standard, you will be, or the company will be also able to answer this conformity request. And that's all for me. I have finished.
Yeah, thank you very much, Claude. I think it is now on Amelie to lead to the Q&A session. I think the first question is already answered, and the second one I have here on the screen.
Yes. So we have a second question. Are there any financial advantages of implementing GS1 in the frame of call for tenders at EU level?
I don't know. Yes, there are, but I'm not sure to understand fully the question regarding financial advantage of implementing GS1 in the frame of call for tender at EU level. So you are meaning for the European, I will say, innovation program?
I'm not the author of the question, but I think it's a question regarding the interest of the European Commission to publish some call for tenders.
Yes,
about
yes, okay. But today, I know that, for example, we have some European call for tender, for example, for asset management regarding infrastructure. So of course, yes, we could have programs that could be partially financed by the European Commission if we are setting up a consortium in order to implement the GS1, for example, in the asset management, because it is one of the solutions, effectively, to improve the asset management for the infrastructure. But as far as today, the implementation of GS1 is more taken at actor level. Okay, so the railway operators, the stakeholders, okay, the railway industry, but not as a global project at European level. But it could be in the future. But that, it's the willingness of the actors to do so.
Okay. And it's important for us to know this, because as ERCI, it's possible for us to make a kind of lobbying.
Sure. Yes. I can tell you that, for example, I take another example regarding the digital product passport. There is some European program called CIRPAS. Okay, for example, to start to figure out what could be the digital product passport for a battery. Okay, and GS1 with other stakeholders are part of this CIRPAS consortium with European fund. Okay. But it's not in the railway business. It's a battery more for the automobile industry. But yes, it could be. But for that, we need to have a willingness of the railway actors to propose a consortium to implement and push the GS1 in the more globally at European level. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for your answer.
No more questions in the chat. I guess we should introduce the second speaker. Amelie, will you do, or Nicola, or Jérôme, or should I do so?
Jérôme, I let you.
Nico. So thank you. Now it's time for Evan to take the lead. He was involved in the GS1 Interest Club with the help of his manager, Michael. And we discover a young man full of energy and full of good idea. So we are very proud to let Evan talk, because he's one of the key of the GS1 performance management. Let's have the talk, Evan.
Thank you very much, Jérôme. So I will share my screen. Okay, so again, thank you. So hello, everyone. Thank you for attending to this presentation. So I have titled it GS1 Standards in the Railway Industry, Field Feedback from Alstom. My name is Evan Dillé, and I'm currently holding the position of RFID Project Manager at Alstom. So here's a quick overview of what we'll be covering today. So I will begin with a short introduction and some context about my background and our project. Then we will explore why GS1 standards are relevant in the railway industry. After that, I'll explain how we have implemented these standards on the Regio 2N project at Alstom. We will look at the favorable and unfavorable conditions for GS1 standards adoption. Then I'll share best practices and common pitfalls based on our experience, so on the Regio 2N project. I'll also provide concrete feedback from our project, divided in two key areas. Finally, we will discuss about the GS1 Hauts-de-France Interest Group, which is a collaborative innovation platform that has supported our journey in Alstom. And same for GS1 France, we wrap up with a Q&A session at the end. So as I mentioned, and Jérôme too, my name is Evan Gillet. I'm a final year industrial engineering student at INSA Haute-France, and I'm currently working as an apprentice at Alstom Crépin, where I'm involved so in the Regio 2N regional train project. I'm leading a GS1 compliant digitalization initiative, which is focused on the RFID technology. And I'm also, like Jérôme said before, an active member of the GS1 Hauts-de-France influence group. Today, I would like to share two main perspectives with you, which are first, like I said before, a feedback from our experimental deployment of GS1 standards for the configuration management in the railway industry, and second, some insights based and gained through our participation in the GS1 interest group, which is based on the real-world field experience. So first, why use GS1 standards in the railway industry? Because our industry faces several challenges. First, we have our supply chains, which are often fragmented and which are involving many different stakeholders. Second, there's a lack of standardization in how parts are identified and tracked. And third, we have configuration management which are complex and which must be maintained over the entire life cycle of rolling stock, which is like Claude Baudry said before, between 40 and maybe 60 years. To address these challenges, once again, like Claude Baudry said before, GS1 provides global interoperable identification standards, such as GTIN and GIAI, among others, that help improve traceability and ensure data consistency across all our suppliers. And these standards also serve as, we can say, a foundation for digitalization, enabling some technology like RFID technology, data matrix and QR codes, and even digital twins. So let's now look at how we have implemented, applied GS1 standards in practice. So our project is an experimental deployment. So like I said, on the Regio 2N project. This project was launched in September 2023, so it is ongoing. It is an ongoing project for about 1 year and a half now. And this project involves two full-time equivalents, which are Michael Legrand, so the project configuration and change manager in Alstom Crépin for the Regio 2N project, and me, so like I said, as RFID project manager. And the goal of this project is to digitalize configuration management using RFID technology and GS1 standards. This digitalization brings two major benefits for us. Firstly, some time savings, thanks to mass and blind readings that drastically reduce manual effort. And secondly, an increased reliability by eliminating errors in reading, transcription, and scanning. And so to achieve this, we have decided to use SGTIN identifiers, which combine GTIN, which stands for Global Trade Item Number, with a serial number. The GTIN identifies the product type, while the serial number identifies the specific item. And so together, they ensure that each component is uniquely identified across the entire value chain. So from our tier 1, 2, and 3 suppliers to OEM and operators at the end. And so to achieve this, we also decided to use during our production readers to collect this serialized client data. So now let's talk about our system architecture. So we choose to develop a solution that is completely for the existing configuration management tools, which can be like SAP, or others. And instead, we decided to implement a middleware which connects our RFID readers to our configuration database. This middleware, as you can see, but plays a central role because it's receiving from our RFID readers and then collects the scan RFID data from the train. It transforms this data and sends it back to our configuration tool, all while ensuring it follows GS1. And as shown in the diagram, this architecture allows for a smooth and structured data flow, like in a cycle. And finally, a key part of our approach is the supplier engagement, because to ensure consistent tagging from our suppliers, we shared GS1 compliant RFID tag specification with both internal and external suppliers. And this is helping us to establish some ongoing collaborations for the deployment of GS1 compliant RFID tags. Now let's talk about based on our experience, the favorable and unfavorable conditions for GS1 adoption. For the favorable conditions, we think that you will need to have a strong support from the top management of your company. You will need to set up some clear and communication and training for all your stakeholders, internal or external, and you will need to have the availability of technical infrastructure, such as for our experimentation, RFID readers, RFID tags, RFID printer, etc., and so on. On the contrary, regarding the unfavorable conditions, we think that you have to be aware of the possible resistance to change from the staff in your company. You also have to consider the possibility of high initial investment cost, especially for RFID technology, not that much for data matrix and other. And finally, we think that you should be careful with the management of the interface between the GS1 standards and your ERP systems, because depending on your ERP, it can be quite difficult. Still based on our experience, I'd like to share with you some best practices to follow and some common pitfalls to avoid. For the best practices, we think, also based on our experience, we think that it can be a very good idea to start with a pilot project in order to test and to refine the approach of your project before going further. We also think that you should engage all stakeholders early and also often in order to not let the project lose momentum from their side. We think that we also recommend you to provide some comprehensive training and support, like it was said before, regarding the GS1 standards. And finally, we advise you to participate, if it is possible, to GS1 interest groups, because it's a great way to benefit from pair insights and to avoid common mistakes. Now for the common pitfalls. One of the biggest mistakes we think that is to underestimate the complexity of engaging suppliers in the process, especially after the end of the commercial discussions of your project or other thing. And another one to us is to focus only on the technical side, only on technical deployment, without addressing change management or commercial alignment. Now I would like to share with you some concrete feedback from our Radio 2N project, starting with the technical development challenges that we faced. One of the main issues we faced was that the initial requirements that we provided were unclear. So this led to incomplete or incorrect software development for our GS1 compliant RFID solution and software. And to resolve this, I had to organize multiple meetings, a lot of meetings, in order just to clarify the context and to refine our requirements, the requirements of our project. And this process helped us to realign the project and to ensure that the software we decided to develop, so the middleware that I was talking about before, met our actual needs. And so the key lessons that we learned from these challenges are that we advise you to always conduct a detailed and precise requirement analysis at the beginning of your project. We also advise to involve all the internal departments early, departments of your company early, to identify the exact needs of everyone. And lastly, we suggest to invest time in understanding details. The second area of feedback, I would like to share with you concerns the supplier engagement, which, as we discovered, can be one of the most challenging aspects of deploying GS1 standard. In our case, the Radio 2N project began 15 years ago. So trying to get suppliers to tag equipment with GS1 compliant RFID tags is extremely difficult. Many suppliers are unfamiliar with the standards, and some are hesitant to change their processes or to invest time and money to new technology. So convincing them of the benefits is a very long and very challenging process. And so to address this, we developed several strategies that I would recommend. First, we think that you will have to identify and to communicate the benefits, and the opportunities for your suppliers. You will need to show them how GS1 can improve their own company's traceability and reduce errors. Second, we will suggest to start, like I said before, engagement as early as possible, and ideally before contracts are signed or production begins. Third, provide thorough explanations to ensure suppliers fully understand the technical and also the operational requirements. And finally, help your suppliers avoid overestimating costs by clearly defining the project scope and showing them that the investment is manageable and worthwhile in the long term. So to conclude this presentation, I would like to introduce again the GS1 Hauts-de-France Interest Group, which was initiated by both AIF and GS1 France, and which has played a key role on our journey in Alstom. Like I said before, this group is a collaborative innovation platform that brings together companies and stakeholders from various from the railway industry, but from various scopes, we can say, to share experiences and best practices around GS1 standards. To us, it was incredibly valuable for several reasons. It enables the sharing of best practices among all the members. It provides access to real-world feedback from our ongoing projects. It helps us to ensure, you can say, a faster and more reliable adoption of the GS1 standards. And it significantly reduces our implementation risks, because we had the possibility to learn from others' successes and also mistakes. So the Alstom's role in this interest group is to be an active participant. So particularly through the Region 1 RFID project. We have contributed to collective discussions on the GS1 standards implementation, and we shared our field experience with the other group members. And one of the key outcomes of this collaboration was and is the co-authorship of a deployment guide for newcomers. And this guide offers a clear and accessible introduction to GS1 standards in the railway industry, helping other companies to get started with confidence. So thank you, and I think we can continue with the Q&A session.
Yes, so the first question, thanks a lot for this very interesting presentation, Evan. The first question, what are the main challenges and success factors when deploying GS1 standards in the railway industry?
So to me, the main challenges, like I said before, is to lead to a very clear analysis in order to identify the best way to communicate your requirements to both your stakeholders or both for example, your IT service to develop the best software for your need. Also, another main challenge, like I said, is to engage all your stakeholders, so both internal and external, fast, and in order to set up a good collaboration, and also, like I also said, to participate in GS1 interest group. Not the Hauts-de-France interest group, but in order to share some experience and to learn from your peer insights.
Thanks. We have another question. How do you get the data and print and encode your RFID label?
Now, for our project in Alstom Crépin, for the Region 1 project, we have one tool that can both print our data on the tag and both encode the EPCIS memory of our RFID label. So we used an RFID printer from Zebra. I don't know if maybe I can share it with you, but we used a printer which is also the Zebra ZT 411, and it allows us to both print on the tag, so the data matrix QR code, the HRI, so the human readable information, and both at the same time encode the RFID chip with the same information. So, and I repeat, is that or the SGTIN. So both the GTIN combined to the serial number.
Okay, thank you. If some people want more explanations and if they want to contact you, they will have your details after this webinar. So now, thanks again for your answers, and I give the floor to Guido to introduce the next presentation.
Thank you very much, Amélie and Lutz, for this first part of the webinar. I'm glad now to introduce Claudio Salvadori, who is the co-founder, CEO, and president of New Generation Sensors, an innovative Italian SME company specializing in IoT solutions for cultural heritage and industrial application. With a PhD in telecommunication engineering and over 30 scientific publications, he has advanced wireless sensors network and smart system. Claudio's work includes developing modular sensor-equipped containers that align with the physical internet vision of a hyper-connected, interoperable, and efficient logistic network. I'm glad to give the floor to Claudio, who will present Track 1 platform, an NGS platform. And the title of his presentation is The Enabler for a Supply Chain Visibility. I like the word visibility because it means that it's not something behind the scene, but it's clearly put on the table and in front of all of us. Claudio, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Carlo Salvadori. Thanks a lot, Guido, for the introduction, so I don't have to introduce myself. I'm going to present Track 1. I have presented done this 7-point agenda where I raised the problem. But what I want to say is that Track 1 is a wrap-up of what we have said before, looking ahead in the future, following up the European directive in logistics based on the physical internet approach. And we are describing our platform, as well as we are presenting an interesting use case in the clinical trials domain. So, and the question is why in the railways? Yes, we can translate easily this information toward the railway scenario, since the clinical trial is very complex scenario. So the normal logistics, the multimodal logistics is less complex scenario. So we are, as Guido said, we are not ISME in Italy. We develop IoT solutions. We start from that. Then we are working on more in middleware that takes this data and analyze and share it. In fact, we are delivering a platform for supply chain visibility, and we present this project because it is funded in the Next Generation EU framework. So the problem is there is a lack of end-to-end visibility in a trust complex and multimodal supply chain. That is the base of the logistics nowadays. And the Track 1 mission is to enable real-time digital visibility and trust of this supply chain. So this slide is the core of the presentation. I try to summarize here what we mean in terms of supply chain visibility. Of course, we are developing IoT, so identification, localization, monitoring is a key feature. But what we want to enable is the collaboration among stakeholders, because in a multimodal approach where there are sender, shipper, freight forwarder, transport means everyone has to cooperate in this way. So and the cooperate means that we have to share information regarding the goods in terms of which goods, where are them, or how are them managed. And in terms of documentation, we consider at the moment EDI, it is an old standard, but we are looking with very good interest to EFTI, and these data are not an output of our solution like in a normal IoT scenario. It is an input and an output, and so this data can be proactively analyzed through analytics, from analytics and AI, and the more important events can be shared through blockchain trusted approach. Which are the outcomes of our analytics? For example, could be event and features extracting from IoT devices, because the new release of EPCIS, the 2.0, enable also the IoT, but can also define the business phases or we can also analyze the level of a certain warehouse, because we know the position, we know the number, we know the identification, so we can understand how many elements are in a certain warehouse regarding a certain component. And then we can also assign to a digital identity to each goods, each asset, in order to understand how it is composed or how it is managed. Okay, so this one is what we consider as the base of complete visibility in line with the physical internet approach. So, and this platform is a multi-tenant platform, so it's not a platform by only one stakeholder, but it is a collaboration platform among stakeholders that cooperates in the supply chain. I'm describing now how it is done. The technology behind Track 1 is completely proprietary by NGS, so we have developed everything from sensor to cloud components, and we have developed this Prometeo, that is the orchestration engine where data can be proactively collected, trusted, shared through blockchain, as well as we can enable online AI capabilities, AI analytics capabilities. So data are not collected, stored, and then processed. Data are collected, maybe stored, but in parallel, data are shared to AI and analytics engines to extract feature and understand this data. And this one so is the architecture. So we have data that are arriving from IoT, from handheld device, for example, RFID, barcodes, and so on, and EDI documents that are entering, but we can also generate EDI documents as understanding of a certain business phase, and these data then are shared through GUIs, then are of course stored in the database, but the most important thing is that we are online feed analytics and online feed the blockchain in order to have a real-time, I can say real-time visibility, trusted visibility of the supply chain. Now I'm going to speak about the project we are facing with. This project is called Treatment, Smart for Sustainable Last Mile Delivery Clinical Trial. And this one is one of use case of physical internet and interoperability. So here there is an answer, important answer to why use GS1 EPCIS, because GS1 has enabled, I think the only one, logistic protocols that enable the organizational interoperability. Because organizational interoperability is the capacity to make two companies speaking together, speaking the same language. Means that a bottle of water by a certain company has a certain name and everyone can understand it. And so the technological interoperability is very simple, but GS1, as Claude said before, as from early 70 started to define the barcodes and then identifying uniquely the goods along the supply chain. And so that's why in treatment we use GS1, because we have to manage a complex scenario where it is not only the logistic partner involved, but in clinical trials there are tests for understanding if the drug under trial are working correctly. So we have to understand how these goods are managed during the supply chain. So this drug has to stay under certain condition in temperature. Is this condition maintained during the supply chain? If yes, okay, we are in a normal situation. Otherwise, it is not. It cannot be considered as a real experiment. So that experiment is not correct because the medicine the drugs are not well stored. So and the same thing we can do we are trying to do at the level of last mile. That means at the level of the consumer, so the patient that are using this medicine. So suppose that I have this box of medicine in my house and I will maintain at the wrong condition. Maybe I can have results, but I mean, I can advise scientists that the condition of usage of this medicine is not correct. So it is a complex scenario. So it's not only logistics, but it's also pharma, is also experiment, is also research. And so the objective of this project are sustainable smart delivery for trial medication. In fact, we use drones. But this, I mean, don't look at the peculiar mean we are considering. You have to see that we are in a supply chain where there are a lot of transport means, so a multimodal scenario, and the drone is the last mile delivery object, but it can be substituted by a truck, or why not in the future a tramway, a tram that is transporting medicine toward a tram stop in a city. Real-time monitoring of temperature and condition, faster, safer access for remote patients, of course, CO2 emission because we are using drones, and then the full end-to-end visibility of the supply chain. The objective of this project regards last mile, but it can be generalized, so from the producer toward the consumer. Okay, and then the technological innovation regards smart capsule for drones that are innovative container, smart packaging, and cloud platform for this track one platform in the end for sharing this data. As I said, there is an important, the importance of this project regards a large set of consumers that are, okay, the normal supply chain users, but also people that are analyzing the supply chain and the consumption of the goods during the usage of the goods produced. So this is a very complex scenario, and in this scenario we can, of course, enable what the supply chain visibility can do. So transparency, visibility of data, fact-based decision making using AI and analytics, but we can also share data to scientists to understand whether the clinical trial is done correctly. In this manner, I mean, why the strategic impact regard the quality of the clinical trial, that means that the time to market will be reduced, and then we can an inclusive access trials, also in urban and remote area, and have a smarter and safer health system. So how can we translate this feature in the railway scenario? I can find two ways. The first one is the manufacturing in the railway scenario, and secondly, the multimodal logistics, where railway train can have an important impact, since trains are at the moment the only transport means that are electric. I mean, and usually electric, and I mean, they can really represent the Green Deal and the physical internet, so reducing the CO2 impact, as well as the traffic in the motorway and also in the urban logistics. And so, I mean, from the, I can connect this presentation, I think, with the previous presentation. The objective is to have a real-time tracking of railway components in the production way, and so as well as following the business phase, because this one is enabled by GS1 EPCIS. We can enable traceability of high-value components. I mean, this one is very similar regarding the scenario of clinical trial flag that are high-value components in the pharma. Integration of IoT sensor in the production line, and then so we can implement, of course, tracking of the goods and analysis of the supply chain, so when the goods are arriving, if they are managed correctly, as well as predictive maintenance during and process optimization during the production. GS1 EPCIS, I mean, in theory, could be seamless, have a seamless integration with certain ERP and MES. So in order to having end-to-end transparency of the supply chain, and then these last 3 points, storage optimization, customer duties, and reduced inventory, can be seen as a consequence of an analysis of the data we collect from the different stakeholders involved in the supply chain. I want to speak about duties in this slide because I think it's quite common, trendy word today, and optimizing the inventory. So having a clear idea of how many things we have in the inventory and how many things are arriving and how many things and how is the trend of selling of a certain type of goods can optimize these duties, and then we can also understand in a deterministic manner how is their impact. This one is a short example of how the visibility of supply chain can support us. In the other side, of course, railway is a part of multimodal logistics, and so what we can I mean, here I'm repeating what is multimodal logistics, so we can integrate road, rail, and last mile delivery modes in line with physical internet. That is one of the objectives by EU, one of the objectives of 2030. Then for the decarbonization in 2050. We can do real-time monitoring and environmental and location of data. Of course, we can interoperate in terms of information as well as in terms of documents with DDI. Okay, we can implement smart containers, smart packaging, because one of the questions I received by an Italian train logistic provider, I mean the main one, is that okay, we are tracking the wagon now. How can we track what we put inside? And so this one can be interesting because with analyzing the consistency of the data of a wagon and of smart packaging, we can also understand which package are inside a certain wagon, a certain train. Okay. Then okay, and the rest regard the optimization of physical internet are green as well as automated, faster, and lower cost logistics. We develop also IoT device as well as we integrate third parties one. Yeah, there are some examples, but in the next slide there is a small provocation. So this image is produced exploiting one of the most known AI tool, and I passed information about our devices, and I speak about logistics. And look, the AI understand that there is the visibility and so on, but not train. I have to force to introduce train. And what I want to say in this scenario, I want to say that the train impact in logistics is not considered so much. So also AI is not trained to consider train as logistic means, because it's easy to see a truck along the motorways, then a train passing through with the containers, or a last mile logistic mean based on the railway of tramway, the tramway. So this one is the question. The reason why NGS is a partner and shareholder of DTECFER is that we trust that green mobility, green logistics pass through train, not through truck that are filling completely the motorways. What are searching for? So we are enabling full end-to-end visibility with the real-time responsiveness. We are searching for partners in R&D project, as well as, I mean, R&D means private, of course, but also collaboration in EU project. We are very active on that. Yesterday I started a project of regarding the urban mobility, early adopters and end user. Thanks a lot. Here there are my contacts if you want some other information.
Thank you very much, Claudio, for this presentation. I see your passion on GS1. This is why we have organized these webinars. Thanks also to Jérôme and to the two previous speakers. We have some questions for you. The first one, please answer quickly. Why the selection of EPCIS?
I think I've already answered to this. Is that EPCIS from our study in at least 3-4 European projects is the only protocol that enables the organizational interoperability. So it can, of course, define technical ICT solution, but it can also define a language, a common language to enable the cooperation among the stakeholders in supply chain. This one is and so we trust and we work continuously in exploiting its immense, infinite possibilities on collecting data, extracting data, and providing information to the stakeholder in order to simplify, to optimize, to reduce the cost, to make greener the logistics. This one is the main reason.
Second, short answer, please. Is the solution for a specific supply chain, like health or other one, or it can be generalized?
I think the two scenarios demonstrate that can be generalized. We are started with a very complex scenario. It is the clinical trials. Then we can simplify and adapt. Of course, we have to be adapted to different scenarios, but yes, can be generalized to railways and to other type of logistics.
Okay, thank you very much. Then maybe we have no other question for Claudio, but we have a general one coming on the presentation of today concerning, do you see any synergies with the below interest to participate? It is a full-scale derailment test and demo in October in Pueblo, United States of America. There is this Congress, and they are making this real-life demo. Maybe, I don't know if some of the speakers, of the 3 or 4 speakers, have something to say about this and connection with GS1. Short answer, please. Thank you.
So
Claudio.
answering now immediately is quite difficult, but could be.
Thank you. Okay, it's an answer. Jérôme, Claude, Evan, do you have any reaction for a full-scale derailment test and GS1? Do you see some connection? Maybe Evan?
And we are very proud to be a part of this webinar together. There is a point we will meet together during CFAIR exhibition. It will take place in 3 weeks in Lille, in the north of France. And if you are in Lille, do not hesitate to come to visit us. And with Claude, we will organize a small event the 25th of June at 11:30. 11:30. Okay, sorry. Thank you, Claude. So you will be welcome. We'll receive you at the 5th forum space, 5th, and we can share with you. We will share with you the document made by the Interest Club GS1 of the north of France.
Thank you, Jérôme. Back to the question, and before answering, but I can provide answer later because I was not aware of this conference and this issue in the US. So to be honest, I have to dig a little bit more in the inside. What is the purpose of this conference and topics in order to provide an answer to see if there is a link between GS1 implementation and this conference.
Okay, thank you for
Thank
this.
you.
And
This is Peter.
maybe you can continue to discuss about it during
Yeah.
CIFER if you or people going there to the CIFER fair in Lille.
Yeah. Just a quick comment. This is Peter. It is related to new European legislation in TSI, technical standards for interoperability, that specifies the characteristics of vehicles in Europe. There are two functions called derailment detection function and derailment prevention function. So these are the ones that we will demonstrate in Pueblo. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter, and I give back the floor to Lutz.
Yeah, thank you all of the presenters for their interesting presentations. I put the links provided by Peter also into this general presentation. You receive as a follow-up email in a few days all the material, the link to the recording of the webinar, all the presentations, and all the links. And yeah, we kindly ask you to fill in a short feedback questionnaire on this webinar, and especially we are interested in your topics to be presented in future ERCI webinars. Maybe you have interest by yourself to present your innovative solution. You are kindly invited. You will see, have the possibility to watch the ERCI webinars at YouTube. The link will be provided in the chat in a few seconds by Guido. And the next ERCI webinar is already in 1 week, and it's on innovations in condition-based monitoring of rolling stock. And the registration is still open for sure. We have already over 50 registrations, but you are kindly invited to be part of it too. So, events. The ERCI Innovation Awards is the final phase of nomination of application. The deadline will be the 10th of June. And if your ERCI member cluster is nominating you, you are lucky that you are lucky to be in the last round, and the evaluation will start by mid of June. And yeah, the awarding ceremony will take place, as already mentioned, at Expo Ferroviaria on 30 September 2025 in Milan. Yeah, we have an ongoing preparation activity, and you are kindly invited to join us to our ERCI mission to Canada. It will take place from 8 to 12 September 2025. The agenda is still in preparation and fine-tuning. Some meetings are already booked, and you will find further information and registration on this event on the ERCI website. The link will be shown in a few seconds in the chat. So we are interested for sure to have an interesting business delegation to Canada, mainly to Quebec region. So some other events, partly already mentioned. We have the Rail Life event mid of June in Warwickshire in England. We have the Eurasia Rail in Turkey. We have the Railway Forum in Berlin in September. We have the Traco Fair in Gdansk in Poland also in September, and we have the Expo Ferroviaria in Milan end of September, start of October this year. And already mentioned, and also all events are related with the presence of ERCI, and mentioned the CIFER from 24th to 26th of June in Lille, France, will take place. Relanium together with eTools will be there with a joint booth, and there will be a B2B matchmaking event there, the International Railway Brokerage event, and it's just possible to register to this event. That would be an on-site event. That means you have to be to Lille to meet other interesting contacts there. So please do not hesitate to register to this event and discover some opportunities to find interesting contacts for your business. Funding opportunities. There are still some open calls from ESA. The first one is a space for intermodal transport, and the second one is a space for rail call. There are already ongoing activities for both codes where ERCI might support you if you are interested to be part of consortia, certain consortia. Then also the work program for 2025 of Horizon Europe is pre-published by the European Commission, and you will find the link here with very interesting topics to be covered. If one of the topics are interesting for you, please do not hesitate to contact us, and we try to manage to find a suitable consortium for you. So some projects, I will hand over quickly to Guido for LIDA 2030 and Idealist.
Yes, thank you, Lutz. So LIDA 2030 is a project which is to suggest measures to contribute to strengthening the resilience of European supply chain for raw material for the railway sector. It is based on the project of research and development of Europe's rail joint undertaking. And the main question is, in 2030, the project will be able to implement what they have developed because of the lack of raw material, because of the lack of electronic components and other difficulties due to the supply chain. So it's also linked again to this GS1 webinar of today. You see that there are 4 partners. One is ERCI, ourselves, JKZ, which is a German cluster on mining, Railenium, the Technological Research Center of Railway in France, Hauts-de-France, and the Technopark Istanbul. You see there all the details of the project and the contact. Next slide.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Second project that I would like to present is Idealist, which is his goal is to empower SMEs in tackling supply chain disruption and boosting advanced technologies. So again, here we are in the top connected with the topic of today. All the details are in the slide. I go quickly because we are already over time. Next slide. Just to say that we are in the middle of the Hack and Match event, which is composed of 3 phases. The first is collecting challenges. This time is on AI, artificial intelligence, and we have now collected the solution providers, and on the 17th and 18th of June we will be the 2 days dedicated to the real Hack and Match event. Then we will have an awarding ceremony which is scheduled at the beginning of July. This is the second Hack and Match event. We will have 3 others with 3 other topics. So I invite you to follow the website and the details that are indicated already in the chat. Next slide.
Important to mention that all of these match events are related to the topics of advanced technologies.
Yes, AI, machine learning, cybersecurity, IoT, big data. So this is the aim of helping advanced SMEs. SMEs will help traditional one, and all together will help the resilience of the European industry. Yes.
So to remind you that we will have the next ERCI webinar already next week on the 11th of June on innovations in condition-based monitoring of rolling stock. This is a registration link here. And yeah, I have to thank you very much for your attention. Please do not hesitate to fill in the feedback questionnaire. And thank you very much. Maybe we are meeting again next week. Have a nice day. Bye bye.